we had kind of put Hellier out of our minds. We knew that Karl was editing everything, and we just kind of let it go. One of the things that keeps popping up, even Tanya said this to us, the harder you look for it, the less you're going to find it. And with everything in this case, it seemed like every time we would just kind of stop and breathe and forget about it, some new weird lead would pop up. How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody good? You're going to be good. You're going to be real good in about 10 minutes when we bring our... Dane and I are doing a live stream for the museum members. And I noticed that in the live stream, an email has popped up. And, you know, we use our phone to do the live stream most of the time, so we see the stuff that pops in. We're paying attention because we're interacting with people. And this email pops up, and it has a title that's something to the effect of, you know, urgent, life or death, please respond. And I thought, well, that sounds important. And we get stuff like that often with like haunted objects and things. And so I just figured, okay, it's another haunted object type of deal. So we go through the stream. We end the stream. And I remember, oh, we got this email. So I go back and I open it up and I start reading it. And as I'm reading through it, I start to literally shake because it was just an expanded version of the email we got from David so many years earlier.
So when it finally came time to go to the quarantine points, a thing that was really strange is the night before I left, I had planned for this trip, I think, 2 weeks in advance because I had been going to school at the time. And it just happened to line up on an in-between area of my semesters. So I had some free time off. I decided to just go out, follow up on what I presumed was going to be one of the last leads that hasn't been looked into yet. So I was literally at a laundromat late at night, literally folding my clothes, and you gave me a time. You're like, I'll be free in like 20 minutes. Greg picks up the phone, and the first thing he says, he goes, I've been waiting for you to call me. You won't believe what just happened. I go, what? The email started again. I'm like, what do you mean the email started again? And then Greg reads the craziest, scariest email I've ever heard in my life.
All right, so it's from Amy. She even has a picture attached to her Gmail address, 9:10 p.m. First, if you get this and I'm missing, take note, it's euphonauts, which is a weird fucking term to use. No one uses that.
No, right. You would only use that term if you knew exactly what that term was associated with.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
First, if you get this and I'm missing, take note, it's euphonauts. I live by Hale Bridge Road, aka Ruth Community. I heard a lady screaming bloody murder and begging for the torture to stop. I had run to rescue, found no one. I kept searching, stumbled on the uncapitalized UN space imaginable. Time is of the essence, as now I'm a target for the next ritual and sacrifice.
Oh my god.
They are literally this whole town. Coral Cave System. My name is Amy. My date of birth is... Why would you put your date of birth in there? That's
confirmation.
For confirmation. Yeah.
Confirmation.
I'm in serious danger and no police will do anything as they are a part of this. It's government and extreme military cover-up. I found so much and there's no way to get it. Marine occult, cannibalism, human sacrifice, child torture, cave captives and creatures, everything.
Oh my god, that's all of it. It's all the stuff I've been reading and thinking about. That's all of the stuff I've been thinking about.
The Green Man. The Green Man. Hale Bridge Road. The entire community, but the heart of your green man is here. I lived seconds away and never seen it or suspected it, right under everyone's nose. And that's it.
I immediately became excited. I wanted to know everything. But then when he started telling me the details, I realized how paranoid he was and what was inside this email, and it took a negative turn.
I flipped out. I mean, my first thought was somebody saw Hellier. Somebody saw a cut of Hellier, and now they're trying to inject themselves in this case. Someone's trying to become part of something they think they're going to get something out of. And so I lost my mind. I didn't know who to trust. It didn't help my paranoia. I'm already a paranoid person, and working on the David case had only made me more paranoid after being in Hellier. The idea that there's something watching or someone watching and potentially messing with me and messing with people I love was a scary thought.
The heart of your green man is here.
Why does she call it the Green Man? You guys know what the Green Man is, though, right? Like the old symbolism of the Green Man.
I mean, the only thing I know about the Green Man is the Kelly Green Man.
Are we talking about Pan?
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, no, like, so the Green Man, in fact, oddly enough, like, you'll see this type of symbolism in, like, Rosalind Chapel, overseas, things like that, but there's this old archetype of the Green Man where, like, you've seen it everywhere. Like, people use it. It's like a very old...
Oh, like a nature spirit.
It's a man's face in leaves.
Oh, yeah.
They show him aging like a person, where, like, you know, like, he ages with the seasons.
Right.
Where he turns to winter and this and that, where it's this ancient thing. But even that sounds strange, where it ties in.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like we were saying earlier, I found her court records. I know she's a real person. Her address is accurate. I can tell that she either has a husband or a brother who shares the same last name. He's in prison until 2026. So obviously she's an ostracized part of the community already.
Yeah,
so the police wouldn't take her seriously anyway. Although it's weird because unlike David, who was a fucking doctor, supposedly, you know, now we have someone who's on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and it's more like someone who's in Hellier.
These emails aren't from Hellier, though. They're from Somerset, Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little nervous about you going by yourself for these coordinates tomorrow, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, yeah, you think I'm not now anymore after you get that tonight?
Oh my god.
Euphonauts was definitely in the first one, which was one of the trigger words where we were like, who fucking knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who saw something?
Yeah.
So we were super freaked out, super paranoid.
Yeah.
Like what happened?
Euphonauts is a word that's been around for decades, but
you never hear it.
Strand is the guy that uses that word. Like nobody...
Exactly. Like the only person I've ever heard say it outside of this case and the people involved in this case is like Tenny. But that's because Tenny's old school. Never heard it. Never hear it in
It's a very old school word because now it's just aliens. But that used to be the word for the pilots of the UFOs, you know? Which is very 1950s.
Yeah. So this first email, I'm looking at it right here. Right in the first message, she has everything condensed. And she's talking about the occult, cannibalism, human sacrifice, child torture, cave captives, creatures, everything is literally what she lays out in this first message. And what set me off on this paranoia is when you and I had first started talking, from the get-go, before Hellier became a thing, remember when I brought up randomly, I said, have you ever looked into these missing persons cases? That seemed to be strange. I had always been bugging you about the Goblin case because it fascinated me. And way earlier, after one of the first things I researched about you was that case. And that resonated with me because way back, years ago, I actually received this book. I actually think I got this for Christmas, oddly enough. It's basically a compilation of just really bizarre reports that don't really fit the bill of anything. And one of the category of reports that always stuck with me more than anything else were these subterranean tales. And those tales had to do with cave captives, people being kept underground, these kind of weird, sadistic type scenarios. So the second this email came through, and the second I had been on that tangent about missing persons along the Appalachian range, it all clicked in my head.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to trust. The only thing that seemed right at the time was Strand was preparing to go to the coordinates from the wrist emails literally the next day. The timing was so suspicious. It was so suspicious. And Strand, who was previously really excited to go to the coordinates, was now losing his mind, freaking out, because, I mean, I remember reading him the emails on the phone and hearing him get concerned because he was going by himself, alone, to a place he'd never been before that's in the mountains. It was really scary and frightening and really frustrating. I lost my shit. And it made me really paranoid, really, for months. I mean, I'm still paranoid about it because we don't know what to do with it yet.
I told Dana not too long before you called, it's I don't know, I can't shake the feeling that there's somebody or something with some weird overarching view that went, yep, here you go, it's the right time, boom.
Okay.
So I'm gonna email back at 3:58 this morning.
No, but tell me, first of all, tell me the research that we did last night.
One of her relatives is in prison for 10 years. Another one's in prison for 20. They are a very rough group of people, and clearly have a lot of legal problems.
Yeah.
Not the type of people you just want to get mixed up with.
No.
You good?
Yeah.
So, this woman, Amy, wrote back at 3:58 a.m.
3:58 a.m.
Holy shit. You ready?
Oh my God, Greg.
Wicked Marine Occult. In July, me and my ex-boyfriend was staying in a camper near the lake. It's very secluded, no running water, no electricity, nothing but nature. Me and him and a few flashlights and beam lanterns.
Late one night,
we believed a bobcat screamed.
Then it got deeper and began saying words, pleading for whoever or whatever to stop with the torture. I immediately ran to rescue. My boyfriend grabbed me and pulled me back in, maniacally turning lights off and covering my mouth. He said, "There's nothing we can do for her with no weapons besides getting ourselves killed too." I had to listen to her for the next 30 minutes until she grew silent. Finally, daylight came and I began the hunt, tracking and marking each track as I searched. I hiked to discover a cabin that I, in fact, had been familiar with for 17 years. It seemed like I was seeing the cabin for the first time. Caged windows and doors, and not one but 2 thick log chains, and a gate crossed the drive with military-grade padlocks on the thick metal cage entrance. No way in. Mind you, I was determined to help, so I crawled in under the cage and went in against my better judgment. Beds were chained to rafters. In the attic, blood and feces stained the beds. Trap doors, booby traps, weird designs, and human bones. I found bleeding bulls, human teeth, bone carvings, weird photos, and a lot of paperwork. They have a system. They park cars at them and set timers for the power, and then they tunnel underground. Faces in the trees. I called the police, and they all but told me they needed more. I had nothing but breaking and entering to go with. I found that I now was in definite danger when I learned that they were performing rituals based on pagan Wiccan beliefs. I'm alone with no family or friends. All have been ruined by this craziness. I'm terribly scared and have found that this entire town is a part of it. It's ground zero. The out-of-towners or members and the local elders, well, they're all aware. Trust me, the caves and the caverns and mines go from Virginia to Ohio to Indiana and Tennessee. I have a boat to take to the entrance, but I do not want to go in them again until I know I have backup that they're afraid of. The gatekeeper is the scariest of them all. He can actually perform magic. Trust me, I'm a skeptic. I literally began to suffocate as he whispered and blew me a kiss, holding this curved, weird walking stick and a crystal. Most everyone I know is involved. The CIA and the Marines and Navy. It is so insane that I almost didn't write you, expecting you to write it off. But I'm out of options and will, in fact, be murdered in these hills if someone doesn't help me. I've seen things that will blow your mind and forever change your reality for good. It did mine, and now I'm scared, alone, and hopeless, and I'm turning to you. Please, tread quietly.
I don't know. This is just unbridled insanity. She just emailed again. It's 12:17 p.m. I can't go back to get photos of the blood, hair, teeth. I have them actually in a secure location on 2 is a link. 3, the Green Man is a god they worship. I believe that they held their victims captive underground. You always hear the hum of the ground. It's exactly what Tyler was talking about last night.
But here's the thing. Here's what else is very strange. It's exactly what David said. You realize that, right?
Fuck.
It's like, this is another
Yeah,
David
but David
email.
sent pictures.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that this is the equivalent of a David email all of these years later.
It is.
It's someone trying to
Same
get
thing.
us to go out to the fucking middle of nowhere in Kentucky.
She gave her name, her date of birth. She gave addresses. It was like an answer to the David emails in a way. Everything that frustrated us about the original case, everything that frustrated us about going out to Hellier, finding out David was a ghost, that we didn't have an address for his house, that we had to just take a lot of that stuff on faith. Those answers were served up on a silver platter in these emails.
It wasn't until the Beltane holiday that I realized it was to be a holiday feast. Big South Fork is where they have held the Green Man for ages. Slough is actually little troll-looking things, but powerful. But now she's saying slough, S-L-U-F, like on the coordinates.
Slough is on the coordinates?
Yeah, on the old picture of the coordinates.
Who's an old Vietnam War guy supposedly, and slough. The only real reference to it is old slang from the Vietnam War that meant short little ugly fucker, which was like a racist term for the Vietnamese.
Yeah. Yep.
Short little ugly fucker, goblins.
Goblins.
And he wrote it on this picture, this whatever this thing is that he sent.
Okay, this is getting very fucking weird and making me very suspicious.
Little troll-looking things, but powerful. I found the entire system.
I'm wigged out the whole time. I'm driving. Next day comes by, I pack all my stuff, and I start driving for, I think, seven hours in North Carolina. And the whole time, I'm just... I don't even know what's going through my head. I'm thinking about all this stuff.
Slough? That's on the coordinates that Tyler is going to right now. Why would she drop that word right now? He's literally on the way there. Who the fuck is this person? What is happening? I am so fucking paranoid and confused.
All right, it is February 3rd, 1:35 p.m., 2018. My name is Tyler Strand, and I'm about to head to the Terry Wrist coordinate points. Again, my drive for curiosity and my drive to want to know what's going on overrides the fear of this. I still wanted to know.
It's email 4.
It's 2:37 p.m. She's emailed back. You fortunately have been already on their radar, significantly enough. I was told to contact you from a man named Doug. He said to be sure I made it clear I had been in contact, so if I do get taken, it will further put them under scope, so they might be hesitant. There's too much in this location that they can't just pack up. I have seen them. I have been firsthand with the fact that it's us, military, wolf pack, Marines, occult, aka euphonauts. I'm sorry I have nothing to show you. Believe me, I have had everything taken from me. I even had paperwork from the children they keep in the mines.
Okay, so oddly enough, I'm almost at the coordinate points. I don't see anything yet, but what's super weird, I found this balloon here, and I think it's the same balloon I found that other piece to. I finally reached probably within 20 feet of the pinpoint, and on the ground I see in the middle of the forest this really old shiny balloon on the ground. And I pick it up. It's a happy birthday balloon, just kind of laying there, just in the middle of the woods, middle of nowhere, almost like they had a balloon marking this spot. It's right up there. Right through there.
So the actual spot, when I reached it, was one part confusion, one part disappointment, with maybe a little bit of relief that I finally found it. And it was disappointment because there was nothing there. The exact pinpoint spot, there was nothing there. There was nothing hidden that I could tell. There was nothing in the land's geography that made me think there was some kind of rock outcropping that maybe had some cave entrance. The particular location of the exact coordinate spots is very, very mundane. I'm standing at the spot. There's nothing here. Oh my god, dude, you know what? I walked up to this big gnarly tree, and it looks fresh, like somebody came in and just fucking decimated a tree, like blew it apart. It's so fucked up. It doesn't look like there's anything here that's being covered by this debris. I don't even know how this tree was taken down. Like, was it just cut and it blew off that way with the bark? What's strange is when I'm standing on the spot, I start hearing this low rumble. And I'm like, at first I'm like, whoa, is this the rumble in the ground? Is the rumble in the ground? Holy shit. Oh my God. Look at this. Oh shit, they know I'm here.
And then right over my head, whoa! This helicopter flies above the trees, like straight over me. And whether that was just coincidence or not, in this paranoid state, I'm like, somebody knows I'm here. Like, I'm thinking somebody knows I'm here. I hurry up. That's actually the first thing I say when I call Greg back.
I think somebody knows I'm here. This might be coincidence. A fucking helicopter just flew right over my head, right in line with where I'm standing. I don't know, man.
We're wigging out, clearly still paranoid, because we're thinking, like, these people want us dead. Because at this point in time, you had emails that said they're aware of you. You've been on their radar for quite some time.
You fortunately have already been on their radar. Significantly enough. I was told to contact you from a man named Doug.
Who the fuck is Doug? Who the fuck is Doug?
God damn it, we were so close. We were so fucking close. I'm here, I'm fucking here. There should be something fucking here, and maybe there was. Now the marker's gone. And I think that was the moment when I realized it was about time to leave.
3:18 p.m., another email.
What email is a 6?
9 altogether, with
God.
back and forth.
Okay.
Doug's real name, he asked I didn't speak of. He says you know him by the warning.
Oh my God.
He won't allow me to speak anymore. His emails are not safe, neither his telephone.
By the warning?
He says you know him by the warning.
Who?
It's Terry.
Who the fuck is this?
And that's when I made a fatal mistake. I either went to text you guys a message or something. I ended up swiping out of my compass that I was using to navigate. And the reception was so poor in the woods, it couldn't open up again. It couldn't refresh. And I was running out of battery power at this point in time on my phone. And I just couldn't, for the life of me, again, it's weird. I had made notes earlier, but it glitched over my head, and I couldn't remember what direction I had walked in. So I'm like, okay, so I'm following this compass, and I ended up walking onto a trail, and I start following it. I'm like, I'm gonna try and just stick on a trail for now, because I'm sure it leads out into the area where those others connected if I'm going the right direction. The sun is setting, everything's getting that pale gray tone, and I start getting this ominous feeling that the whole purpose of the coordinate points and me being there was to have me not leave that forest, is how I felt.
I was honestly priming myself for the worst scenario, which would have been having one of my friends die. For what? For what?
I found what little bit of energy was left. I'm like, I'm going to push through, and I'm going to reach the top of this ridge, and then I'll take a rest. But I'm not going to stop. I push through. My legs are giving out. I reach the top of this ridge.
Way off in the distance, I seen a small little road. And on that little road, I seen these little dots moving. And those little dots were cars. Cars and vehicles. It was the first sign of civilization since being in that forest. And I realized it was a way out. I walked on a directional straight path. I began seeing a trail cam, some tree stands, and those led me out onto a gravel road where there were houses, civilization. And I realized at that point that I succeeded. I made it out.
But yeah, there was nothing that seemed There was nothing that seemed important at the time. I know he said that there was a weird vibe to the place, but it was one of those things that it just made me think of Hellier, or maybe we were there too late. Maybe we didn't go after it in time. Or maybe we were missing something. I don't know. I just assumed he was pointing us to Brown Mountain. That was just an assumption on my part. But coordinates are so specific. They're so specific. It just was so pointed. I don't understand. I don't understand it.
There was one other lead I had to follow up on, and it was the mystery of who lived inside the house that was near the coordinate points. I just wanted it to be over, but I still had that thirst to know. It was now or never. I was confronted with a fairly large white house, 2 stories, very, very open. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know who was living here. I didn't know if it was going to be Terry Rist. I didn't know if it might be something like Indrid Cold. I mean, there was so much mystery behind who lived at this location.
I end up getting to this house. And as I'm walking this door, all these dogs are going off, barking. And I hit the doorbell. I'm wait.
And the first sign of movement that I seen was an elderly woman approach the door. Looked to be in her late 60s or so. And at that point, when she opened the door to ask who I was, I was very transparent. I wanted to, I realized I wouldn't get the answers if I just didn't outright tell her why I was there. So I told her in brief, these coordinate points seem to be near your property in the woods. So I was just curious if there was anything out inside of the forest, or if there's anything of interest. And I kind of went down this detailed list of asking her about the forest and if there was anything strange that she's ever seen in the area. And she was very, very matter of fact. Just, no, there's been nothing strange. But there was one, apart from their nature of just being very open with me and me being very open with them, there was something that caught my eye.
The element that we have right here is there was a very distinct carving on a tree that was right next to us. Just out from their porch, probably 10, 20 feet away. And I've been staring at this carving the whole time I'm talking to these people. And I go, that's a very interesting carving on that tree. I go, is that a green man? And then the woman turns to me, she goes, no, it's just an old man.
In my paranoia, I'm thinking, are these people a part of this case?
Yeah, so I mean, I wrapped things up. I thanked them for their time. I got in my car, and that's when I drove back down that driveway, and I actually pulled into the church for one last call, to call you guys and be like, well, I followed up. I know who's there. So I call you guys, and in the middle of telling you what just happened, I get a knock on my window. Don't. It startles me. I'm like, no. And I look.
And there's a man there in a sweater vest, and he was actually a sheriff.
So I roll the window down. He's like, I'm like, oh, hi. And I'm like, stay on the line. I'm like, uh-oh. I like, stay on the line. I'm like, there's a cop here.
He asks, he goes, hi there, what are you doing here?
I go, oh, I'm just driving from Pennsylvania. I'm actually geocaching. I'm like, I'm actually about to go back to Pennsylvania now.
He took my information. He took my details. I gave him my ID, and he walks back to his vehicle. And he was there for quite some time. And the whole time he's there, I'm talking to Greg and Dana. I'm like, what's going on? So he comes back with my information and he says, well, everything seems to check out. And I had made it very clear that I was on my way out of North Carolina. So he asks me again, he goes, you are leaving North Carolina, right? Like very, very demanding. And I said, oh yeah, I'm just about to leave now, about to head back to Pennsylvania. He goes, there's a lot of people who come and talk to me. He goes, I know everyone in this town. He goes, and we take note if strange men appear in this town and start asking questions. As he walked away and I started my car, I ended up pulling backward. And as I pulled back to start my drive, I realized not only was this undercover cop there, but an entire squadron of undercover cops were with him that followed me out on my drive out of North Carolina until they pulled off.
Mr. Sheriff, something's wrong. Been on the plains, ain't been dark too long. Left just a hymnal of old-timey song. Might be the answer.
So I didn't tell anyone else about the emails for 4 months. We just sat and dug in on them. Strand did research and Dana did research, and I did some, but it honestly just made me really nervous. I kind of just wanted to put it out of my head. And everything we found was just more and more concerning. And like clockwork, she disappeared, stopped answering emails, left it at this cliffhanger, saying she had information, she had proof of all of these claims about euphonauts and secret rituals in caves and sacrifices and very scarier versions of the stuff in Hellier. And then she disappeared.
The question posed by Rist is, why did you stop when you were so close? The coordinates aside, can you think of anything else from that trip that it might have been referencing? Anything?
I didn't think about that till now, but what experiment did we just try? Like, I thought, let's do the alien abduction experiment. Oh, what if that is it?
Did you stop the experiment?
Yeah. Yeah, we had such a bad experience with the experiment. Yeah, we never tried doing that again. Not that variation. Well, not about aliens. We've continued to work with hypnosis. But the idea of using that to do an alien abduction, like it's was genuinely one of the scariest things I've ever seen and probably ever instigated, simply because of the implications of it. Because I never put two and two together. So this is what's funny. This is weird. We went to Brown Mountain not with the intention of finding an alien cave base. That wasn't the fucking point. That was something that was brought up by Micah. All the other shit with like the goblin stuff was like not anything that seemed related at all. It just seemed like at the time, Micah brought up alien cave base, and we thought, oh fuck, we've got something like an alien cave base. That was just an aside. It just kind of became the theme of that as we worked on Hellier. What we were actually doing was we were at Brown Mountain to try and get abducted.
Do you think he wants to continue the abduction experiment?
I don't fucking know.
Grave dug so shallow, his heels still show. They beat out the law and the coming snow.